Welcome to the Black Science Podcraft. This is a cross between a podcast and a presentation where you'll have one speaker delivering a concept, a theory, an idea to the other. So the goal is to allow you to critically analyse these points and to see if they hold any weight. So why black science? So there's a few reasons behind the term black science. Stay tuned to find out. So, in this episode, we unpacked some of the things that we unpacked: the confusion between fame, influence, true leadership. We explored conscious levels of it as well. We gave reference to a few prominent black, inverted commas, leaders or thought leaders out there that have demonstrated different types of things that we should reflect on and that we should look at when we're looking at and placing people in these leadership positions or saying they're leaders. We've looked at education, community stuff that can help drive people's way of seeing or placing themselves as so-called leaders in the community. We've looked at the Black Messiah complex and how our need for placing people in there, but also once they're in that position, probably breaking them down and criticising them. So we've unpacked a lot in this episode, and I think there's further more things to go into because we've got ladies, we've got women in leadership. I think we've got some more examples of good and bad leadership that we're going to touch on. So a lot of it is about value systems as well, I would say. We spoke about value systems and also former leaders that came from a place of a common goal or a struggle or oppression, and how that's changed over and throughout the years, and maybe that lack of direction or common goal, and then other influences like social media. So there's a lot to unpack. I think there's a lot that we've placed out there to you, the viewers, and feel free, as always, to please leave your comments and keep the conversation going.
So we've got a bag of examples of leaders. We've got freestyle. We can talk about bad aspects and good aspects of them all. But we already know the old school guys: Martin, Malcolm, Marcus. From my perspective, I would say bad. Malcolm, he was a bit egotistical. He had a bit of an ego, and I think that did get him into fight. When you do look at what happened with his fallout, he did have a bit of an ego problem. He, like you said, power corrupts, and he got to a point.
They said the CIA kind of inflated some of those with the letters between them, but he definitely probably...
He did. I can't remember what he said. I do remember...
The chickens that come on to Roost's comment that he...
Actually, my reason for breaking with the black Muslims originally, I didn't break. It was a split came about primarily because they put me out. And they put me out because of my type of thinking and my uncompromising approach to problems that I considered that should be solved and that the movement itself could solve. I felt that the movement was dragging its feet in many areas. It didn't involve itself in the civil or civic or political struggles that our people are confronted by. All it did was stress the importance of moral reformation. Don't drink, don't smoke, don't commit fornication and adultery. And when I found that the hierarchy itself wasn't practicing this, that phase of its program immediately became bankrupt. It could not ever function any longer as a moral reform organization because the hierarchy hadn't reformed its own morals. And so the only way it could still function and be meaningful in the community was to take part either in the political, the economic, and the other facets of Negro life. And the organization wouldn't do that because to do it, it would have to take the stand would have to be, approach would have to be too militant, the stand would have to be too uncompromising, and it would have to become too activist. And again, the hierarchy had gotten conservative and was motivated mainly in protecting its own self-interests. And so it just split.
Not even that. I'm talking about NOI.
Okay.
About the internal affairs when
about Elijah Muhammad specifically.
Yeah,
he
started talking a bit brazy, like, and he did get a bit above his boots. He thought he had enough influence to make everybody kind of follow him a little bit, and he was creating a dissension a bit, so his ego did get a bit the best of him. But again, that is part of his good side, because it was his ego, his confidence, his bravery that made him stand the way he stood. Where we will like about Malcom X, I've got him on my t-shirt here, when he made that House and Fields speech, like that
still affects us today, to be true.
Yeah,
our thoughts and our minds. I do.
Yeah. So for me, that's the bad and good about Malcolm. His ego is his gift and his curse, in a sense.
I just told you a little while ago, these leaders that they call leaders, this included Lena Horne, this included Dick Gregory, and this included comedians, comics, trumpet players, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community, and have been made celebrities and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear.
It gave him the platform he created, but also partially, because definitely the government was involved in it, but it definitely partially led to him getting pulled astray. Martin was a good guy. Martin Luther King, obviously, I'm talking like I know him. Martin Luther King, he was definitely a valuable character in that time period, doing what he did, very valuable. But he acknowledged, he led his people into a burning building. He had this whole ethos, integrationist speech and idea of we just want to get along, when really at that time,
and the idea of pacifism as well.
A lot of people actually see him as
the antithesis.
Yeah, someone that done actually something bad for us in some ways.
Some people, I don't think he did anything bad. I don't think he did bad, but I do see the negative of it. Yeah. I agree.
And we're still, his speech never made no difference. We're still doing it. I've heard that kind of rhetoric on TikTok.
And the funny thing is, remember, it wasn't even his speech that actually got them the laws. It was him being murdered and the riots that came up after that that actually made the civil rights laws come through. So the speech didn't do nothing, and like I say, they murdered him because he woke up and realized that, listen, we can't really integrate. We started talking about economics and said that, listen, we got to do our own thing, and then he was taken out. So while he was talking all positive, they liked him. When he was talking about integration, they liked him. As soon as he weren't talking that, then they got rid of him. They got rid of him. So
I think Dr. King had said to me 5 days, as a matter of fact, before he was murdered, he was at my home. He had just finished a strategy meeting on the Poor People's Campaign. And he seemed quite agitated after what we thought was a very successful gathering and discussion. And he said to me, I said, what's the matter, Martin? You seem very agitated. He said, well, I am. Because I've come upon a thought that I don't know how to deal with at this moment. I said, well, what is it? He said, we fought long for integration. It looks like we're going to get it. I think we get the laws. He says, but I'm afraid that I've come upon something I don't know quite what to do with. I'm afraid that we're integrating into a burning house. And when we asked for further clarification, Andy Young was with me at that time, my wife, others. He said, America's lost whatever little moral vision it had. Its moral sense has run away from the nation. And a nation that is not governed by morality and moral principles is a nation that's headed for an abyss. And I think black people have been struggling to get into this system. They've been getting into a system that in the final analysis is a Sodom and Gomorrah. It will not work because its selfish goals, its need for profit, its need for supremacy, its need to be the best has clouded its moral vision. And with no moral vision, no nation can be healthy enough to lead its people anywhere except to
That's the bad. Mugabe and Idi Amin, the same but different.
I don't know about Idi Amin.
Idi Amin, the Ugandan. Remember the Ugandan general? He came in after Milton Obote.
Yeah. Idi Amin Dada was born on 30th of May, 1928. So anyways, when eventually Uganda gained independence in 1962, Idi Amin was raised in rank under the leadership of Dr. Milton Obote, who was the second president of Uganda, by the way. I'll bring you guys that story if you want it sometime. Eventually, Amin overthrows his bosses like, you guys, you don't know what you're doing. They organize a coup, and in 1971, they overthrow that guy. Idi Amin declares himself the president of Uganda. In 1972, it is believed that there were over 80,000 Indian Asians out of the 10 million Ugandans, and these guys were the ones running all the businesses. They were the ones driving all the big cars. They were the ones playing at the golf courses. They were the ones that were owning servants, and they were paying them barely anything. I mean, it's like, I ain't gonna have this bullshit here anymore. He's like, I want to see Kampala and I see black people owning everything. So Indians, you have 3 months, 90 days to get out of here. Those who listened. Those who refused apparently were thrown in the Nile. But I don't know how true that is. So these rich guys come together and they try to what? To bribe Amin. I mean, it's like, I don't want your bribes. The money you're giving me is printed by the Bank of Uganda, which I am the president of. You British people, if you don't want to give me your loans anymore, you don't want to give me your support, I don't really need it. Guys, that's how our economy went down.
Yeah, right. Just a military coup.
My dad's cousin.
What's military? Is that your dad's cousin?
Milton Obote.
Right.
Yeah, my dad was his personal doctor. Yeah.
Right.
So both of them got power and then tried to get out the colonial influence, i.e. the Indians and the white people.
Yeah.
Right, in their respective countries. But then failed to manage what those groups were managing at the time.
Yeah.
So Uganda suffered.
Leader versus dictator, basically.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know, because everybody would have been happy if Mugabe had got out the Europeans and then actually put farmers on that farmland as opposed to his family and friends and people that don't know how to
at all
do what they're doing.
No competence in farming.
And the economy actually rose. Nobody would have cared about him being a dictator and all this stuff. Democracy is a bit of a myth, bro. It doesn't really work as simple as people say. So if it's working, if the system works, no one really cares, right? But he didn't, innit? So he put the wrong people in charge, so economy started to tank. And similarly with Idi Amin, people, it was inequality, a lot of inequality in Uganda, right? The Indians were given the country basically by the British to rule, so they had all the best jobs, they had all the best money, people from...
The Asians say that the reason why they dominate the economy is because they're actually better businessmen, that they're better at doing those kind of things than the Africans are. Willie?
No, it isn't. The fact is that the Africans were deprived of opportunities to get into trade. That's the whole point behind this. Rebecca. And again, going back to this question of racialism, I think in the case of Uganda, this does not arise, because if you were to go back, I mean, to the coming of the Indians here, they were just imported by the British when they were constructing the railway line from Mombasa to Uganda, in the first place. So these people belonged to the British, not Uganda. And when Britain was leaving, when the British government was leaving, then they left their people behind, giving us a headache.
Another view would be that in fact they've sustained the economy, and now that they're going, the economy is going to collapse.
You know, it will collapse for a short time, but I'm sure after the teething troubles, then the economy will come up.
The Asians were gaining much from us, and you said earlier that the economy would collapse. Yeah, it will, maybe for some time, but we are going to build up. We are ready to work hard for the country. We're not just going to sit behind and relax, leave nature take its own course.
The land of home. So obviously they wanted a redistribution of wealth, right? So getting rid of the Indians the idea was that's what we're going to do. Africans, Ugandans are going to get back their land and their money and whatnot, but in the end it tanked the economy because again
people weren't educated to come into them positions,
and it wasn't really thought again. People were put in positions that were his friends, that were like-minded, and it's all about benefiting themselves, long or short of it, as opposed to benefiting the country.
Seems to be a repetitive thing, individualism.
Yeah. I mean,
amongst us, other communities help each other, move on. But then in that way, doing it for your family, you are still doing community work, isn't it? Because
it's individualism.
Well, it is
call it
individualism.
nepotism.
Yeah,
nepotism,
okay, that is it. But then that person off of it, it does spread out, and it can spread out.
I think that the form of nepotism we're speaking about in terms of trying to combat colonialism is that the issue that people weren't properly trained and educated and put in positions where they could be competent. They were just given positions.
There was no intention even to do the correct, get the right people and work. It was all like, we'll just put them there, you own it, and that's it. It wasn't really thought about. There was no real strategy. So for me, when you say that, you're right. We got a lot of examples of stuff like this, but you got to remember these nations were young, like literally young, and it's all chopping and changing. It's not actually settled. So when you were talking about the Idi Amin or even Mugabe, don't get me wrong, I'm not making an excuse. Bad leadership is bad leadership. But these nations are fake. They were enforced on us by people that created the borders to benefit them, not us, right? So there's already like weird divisions within a Uganda, for example, or a Nigeria, because two people that consider themselves to be sovereign and have their own land, and now within one land, we can only have one leader, creates its own issues. As soon as he shows favour to one side, the other side have a infinite.
So to clarify, we are giving studies of bad aspects of influential.
Good and bad.
Good and bad.
Good and bad. So I feel like with a bunch of these, we can say there's negatives and there's the positives, or we can say what we like. If we don't think there isn't, then
we were all made to believe that Idi Amin Dada of Uganda was the worst cannibal, worst murderer, and the most greedy man in history. This is part 2. Idi Amin Dada was well known by African leaders as the conqueror of the British Empire. Even Nelson Mandela acknowledged that no African leader contributed immensely to the struggle against apartheid like Idi Amin Dada and Muammar Gaddafi. His main agenda was African liberation and development for the black people. By 1975, he was helping countries like Angola, Zimbabwe, Namibia, Mozambique, and South Africa to fight against the apartheid regime. Idi Amin Dada provided a safe harbor, weapons, and training sanctuary for freedom fighters from different countries in Africa. He built schools and developed the economy of Uganda. Just like Muammar Gaddafi, he made the colonizer angry. And as usual, they used the media propaganda and divide and rule system to get rid of him.
But I think it's a good aspect, because I think how much of our leaders, how much of their personal lives, their personal decisions that might not necessarily have impacted what they were trying to achieve, do we take on board?
Agreed.
Because I mean, we've spoken about some poor leadership around sexual exploitation, but then you've got leaders who just cheat on their wives. Does that mean that they're poor leaders?
No.
Does that make them poor leaders?
No.
But we as a community would because of the values, the morals, and the criticism that comes along with it, we probably would use that as something to look at them in.
I mean, we will always use negative aspects of people to bring them down or to critique people. I think to myself, how much of leadership do we separate the man from the mission, or the leader from the mission specifically?
We don't do it very well. We don't, and I think we lean on our feelings anyway. So if we kind of like them, then we'll ignore a lot. And if we kind of don't like them, then we'll pick any little thing and we'll say that proves that he's a waste of time. So the bottom line is it's always what's the word? You got to use discernment. It depends. It always depends. It's not a flat out line. If it's just him cheating on his wife, it's got nothing to do with me. Other than that, there was a good relationship. Then I don't care. It don't affect it either.
But it depends on what he's saying. But it depends on what he's saying. What's he leading? You know, is he? I don't know. I think it kind of does, because if his wife's beside him and he's placing himself out there as a family man and it's full of value and this is what we should be, and then he goes and cheats on her, it is a bit.
This is true. No, I hear you. So if he's heavy on family values,
it depends on what they're pushing as well.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. So then
a lot of these men try to do that.
So then in that regard, then all of a sudden I would disregard all of his stuff about family values, but I'm not going to care about him when he's talking about the economy. I'm not going to say, because you cheated on your wife, you're not right about what to do about the economy. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I'm going to start questioning your family values. It might bring me to lead him a little bit distrusting. Sorry, it would. Because if you can do that to your wife who's beside you doing everything, what else can you do to someone else or people that don't know you? I'm sorry, it does. I do know what you mean, but this is the discernment.
This is what I'm saying. How much do we separate? Because if their private life crosses what we'd class as their key principles, then it's going to affect the way we're able to trust them.
Yeah. And we already
I don't think there's any right answer with this, but I think
I hear you.
How much of it, and I think it's contextual. It really depends on the leader, on the time, on how much it compromises the principle specifically. So there's no right or wrong answer.
What do you get from Idi Amin Dada? He was funny. He was dictator. He was really awful. But is there anything that you learn, in terms of his sense of humor?
Him and his life. The funny thing is that me and you view Idi Amin from different light. I understand when you view Idi Amin as the terrorist that woke up one day and didn't want to see your face and said, go. But coming from a point right now, where I'm in a country where I think the citizens in that country are not getting what they want from the government, and a lot is being taken by the people that come, I view him in a different light. I love his humor, and at some point I want him to come back, believe it or not, because he meant protection for me, for the Ugandans that were there. Then, no matter how shrewd his ways were, I see him differently. So it's hard for me to give you an answer that will make you go to bed happy. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the good aspects of influential figures?
So like I say, Mugabe...
Steve. Who's Steve?
Biko. Steve Biko was a G, but so all right, so just before we go there, Mandela and Steve, they're both South African. Steve Biko. Mandela, right, seen as a very good guy, but he's like a Martin, where he was overly integrationist. He forgave everything that happened in apartheid. And that is mad.
He walked out of prison in 1990. He wasn't just a political figure. He was the embodiment of the fight for liberation, and the country was one match away from civil war. So Mandela made a choice that would define the next generation. He chose negotiation over revenge. He sat across from the same government that jailed and tortured his people and tried to kill him. He shook hands with F.W. de Klerk. He pushed for democracy and unity. And in 1994, South Africa held its first multiracial elections. Mandela became president. But here's where the myth starts to crack. Because while the world celebrated, the people on the ground started asking, did we win the vote or did we just get played? Mandela's government created the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, where perpetrators of apartheid were allowed to confess in exchange for amnesty. No trials, no prison time, no land returned, no wealth redistributed. And for those who buried loved ones or lost entire communities, it felt like closure for the state, not justice for the people. And behind the scenes, white economic power never left. Mandela made it clear to Western investors that South Africa would always remain business-friendly or investor-friendly. He didn't nationalize mines. He didn't push for land seizures. He left apartheid's economic foundation standing. The rich stayed rich, the poor stayed poor, and the global markets loved it. The system didn't collapse, it rebranded. Meanwhile, the radicals got erased. Please forgive me if I butcher these names, I'm really trying. Steve Biko, Chris Hani, Robert Sobukwe, those were voices that wanted revolution, not reform. Voices that weren't safe for global press releases or donor dinners. Mandela became the perfect package. Not too angry, not too radical, just enough resistance to be historic.
You have complete amnesty for every crime you committed in apartheid. Why? There's no real answer to that. Why? Or because we just want to get along. You don't get justice by ignoring injustice. That's not just, right? But that was his approach. So, and he's celebrated as a good guy. But you know, he was a peaceful guy.
And his wife should have got more props.
His wife was a G. His wife was a G.
Yeah, his wife. Right? Yeah, Winnie was a G.
And then there's Winnie Madikizela Mandela. She wasn't just his wife. She was the movement while he was locked away. She was banned, harassed, tortured. She spent 18 months in solitary. She raised their children under siege, and she never stopped resisting. But when Mandela was freed, he didn't come back to Winnie. He came back to diplomacy, and she didn't fit the new narrative. She was too bold, too radical, too unwilling to forgive a system that never apologized. And in 1992, without warning her, Mandela publicly announced their separation. She found out with the rest of the country. Their divorce was finalized in 1996. Many believe that ANC leadership and Western advisors pushed him to cut ties, all to protect his global image and international funding. She was dragged in the press, and he was praised with Nobel Peace Prizes. But here's the thing, Winnie didn't change. The world just changed what kind of black resistance it was willing to reward. So what's the legacy? The good? He helped avert a civil war. He gave people across the globe a reason to hope. The bad? He compromised. On land, on wealth, on full justice. He chose peace over transformation. The ugly is that his image was used to rewrite history.
But I think he became like he just became like a figurehead.
Yes.
See, as I said, I think that comes into what we were just saying. Sometimes you can do some things in your personal life, but be for this and that, and it does kind of mix a little bit. She should have been placed up forward.
He went in as a militant and he came out as a pacifist.
Yeah, and she remained.
Yeah, and she remained militant.
I'm not anti-pacifist, but it's just to certain actual declarations. It's just wrong to just say amnesty for all wrongs done during apartheid. The kind of things that happened. Just say no, it's okay. We're just gonna forget about it. You can't even do that. You're not just because you're the president. You can't say everything that was done to other people. I'm just going to excuse it now for the sake of let's all get along. People were, you know what I mean, killed and it's crazy.
Mandela has gone a bit too far in doing good to the non-black communities and really, in some cases, at the expense of it. Look at the system. You see, that's been too saintly. Has been too good, too much of a saint.
So yeah, and then Gaddafi, right? It's a middle one because Gaddafi was actually, on the papers, he was a good leader for that country. He done so much good for that country, right? But I've also heard he was a racist guy, but he was pro-African. So what do we feel about this guy?
He was trying to fund certain people in America at points.
That too.
And I had to rate that.
Yeah, that.
In January 1996, Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi pledged to provide $1 billion to Louis Farrakhan's Nation of Islam to support economic and political initiatives for African Americans. Additionally, Gaddafi offered Farrakhan a personal award of $250,000. However, due to U.S. sanctions against Libya, stemming from allegations of its support for terrorism, the U.S. government blocked these financial transfers. The Treasury Department denied Farrakhan's request for an exemption to accept the funds.
So he done many. He was actually a powerful leader of Africa, and he was assassinated. I would argue for those reasons. Like he done what you're talking about, what he was trying to do with gold and making that the financial backing of America, which would kill off the dollar. It would just kill off the dollar because we got all the gold. So, you know, the negatives are few, but I did hear that he was racist, and I'm not too sure about the details behind that, and I'm not too surprised, but I cannot deny the good. He actually made a free health system, education when no one was in debt, everyone owned land and homes. He was trying to really put power within African hands, at least economically speaking, because the way the World Bank works and the way the economies work right now, it just is not beneficial to Africa or Africans. It's no benefit. The whole system just doesn't work. He didn't take loans, because you know they loan just so you can be under control. So he was anti all of that. So he's just not doing all the stuff they would like him.
We are taught, for example, to regard Gaddafi in a certain way. Okay, but if you look into what happened in his country while he was the leader, you look into the fact that every person is given a house at a certain age. You look at the fact that everybody's education and healthcare is free. You look at if somebody showed a particular talent for something that required further education overseas, all of the costs of that were paid for by the government. Now, these are all things put in place by the same country's leader that we're told is evil and corrupt.
Yeah.
So it doesn't quite balance.
We were the ones that caused Gaddafi's death because Hillary Clinton played a game over there, and I was the one that went over there during the war. Gaddafi asked me to come over. I took a Biden staffer and a Bush staffer and a film crew leader from ABC One in New York, Larry Menti, with me, and a cameraman, because I didn't want the CIA to set me up. I hand-carried a letter back from Gaddafi offering to resign. The U.S. didn't want him to resign. They wanted to kill him. Why? Because Gaddafi, and I met him 3 times. I took Biden on my second trip to Libya, by the way. He went with me when I spoke to the whole country. At every meeting I had with Gaddafi, he wanted 2 things. He wanted to unite the African continent into a group of nations economically, like the European economy. He wanted to base it on the gold standard. And the U.S. and Europe didn't want that. And the other thing is they wanted control of his oil, and they wanted control of his sovereign wealth.
To do, and he had to go. So he's kind of a good version of events. Like, he stood on business, as they say, right? Biko was more of an influential figure in South Africa, and he had a whole...
In an academic sense.
In an academic sense, and he was really pushing certain ideas. So academically, but like you were saying, certain thoughts need to be pushed by an individual.
Changes which are to come can only come as a result of a program worked out by black people.
And for black people to be able to work out a program, they need to defeat the one main element in politics which was working against them, and this was the psychological feeling of inferiority. So then in 1968, we started forming what is now called SASO, the South African Students Organization, which was firmly based on black consciousness, the essence of which was for the black man to elevate his own position by positively looking at those value systems that make him distinctively a man.
Which is kind of like leading them to do like Keys was doing, and he was successful at that. He was the one that really, he was doing what Garvey did. He was trying to make people have power in blackness, being black, making them proud of it, right? Because integration in South Africa at that time was the integration into an apartheid system. To be cool with being in that system as a black person, it's like being cool with being a second class citizen. It's like that don't make no sense. Psychologically, you're always gonna feel a bit like you're not that, you're not even a whole human, bro.
You cannot control the mind of a man if his ancestors have that control. So you must destroy his link to his ancestors,
so that you can have his mind.
That's right. Stephen Biko, our beautiful young brother from South Africa who they murdered. Stephen said it better. Stephen says the most powerful weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. The most powerful weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed.
So this battle is been battle of the mind, of our mind.
Or the battle of our mind. And the only way they can defeat us if they cut us off from our indigenous philosophy, our indigenous worldview, our indigenous sacred science, our indigenous medical understanding, our indigenous technical approach to reality.
But if you go through school in Africa, we are cut off from all these.
Yes, and that is the reason. They're coming to steal your wealth. They can't have you conscious. They got to put you to sleep.
So, I don't know. I wanted to ask you, Sankara was a G. He was like the precursor to Ibrahim Traore, who will talk about.
In 1987, Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary president of Burkina Faso, was assassinated. He was just 37 years old at the time, and in 4 short years, he had turned one of what was being dubbed as the poorest nations on earth into a symbol of pride and self-reliance. He renamed the country from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, meaning land of upright people. He banned government luxury cars, sold the state's Mercedes fleet, and drove a Renault 5 himself. He launched vaccination drives, planted millions of trees to fight desertification, built schools, and made women's rights part of national policy.
Right, in a second, but I wanted to ask you about Selassie, and what was your thoughts on Haile Selassie?
In 1966, Selassie made a trip to Jamaica, a visit that had a major influence on the Rastafari connection to Ethiopia. Thousands of people received him at the airport in the capital, Kingston. To many Jamaicans, Ethiopia's successful resistance against colonialism warranted admiration. Ethiopian forces defeated the Italian army in March 1896 in what is known as the Battle of Adowa. In October 1935, however, the then Italian ruler Benito Mussolini renewed Italy's interest in Ethiopia, and after a 6-year battle, Ethiopia retained its self-rule. But before Italy's second invasion of Ethiopia, something had happened. Haile Selassie had been crowned emperor in November 1930 after the death of Empress Zewditu, the daughter of Emperor Menelik II. Menelik, who had no sons, raised his nephew Selassie as his own child. Selassie's birth name was Lige Tafari Makonnen, and when he was crowned as emperor, he adopted the name Haile Selassie, an Amharic name to mean power of the Trinity. Ras is an Ethiopian title of prince or duke, and Tafari was Selassie's given name. So Rastafarians got their reference from Selassie's title and name. Now, a section of people in Jamaica drew a lot of inspiration from Ethiopia's history. Historians say that at least 5 factors endeared Ethiopia to Jamaicans. First, Ethiopia was one of the only 2 countries in Africa that weren't colonized, the other being Liberia. 2, Ethiopia was a founding member of a unifying continental bloc, the African Union. 3, Ethiopians' dark skin complexion, which bears similarities with that of Jamaicans, brought about a sense of familiarity. 4, Haile Selassie's influence as the leader of Ethiopia gripped many Jamaicans who believed he would protect black people from slavery. And 5, Jamaican political activist Marcus Garvey had reportedly prophesied in the 1920s that a black king of Jamaicans would be crowned in Africa in the coming years. And Selassie's coronation in 1930 was seen as a fulfillment of Garvey's prophecy. According to a section of Jamaicans, when Selassie landed in Kingston in 1966, Jamaica experienced a series of interesting events, including rainfall, which was perceived to be a symbol of blessings. At the time, the country was reeling under drought. And after that tour, Jamaicans who believed that Selassie had divine power planned trips to Ethiopia, which they branded the Promised Land. In 1950s, Selassie gave 200 hectares of land at Shashamane in southern Ethiopia to black people from foreign land, including Jamaica. Their settlements gave rise to a community of people who identify as Rastafarians.
All black people should come back to Ethiopia. It is our royal home.
Selassie, who was born in July 1892, died in August 1975 at the age of 83.
I think as a religious as a religious leader, I think it's because he was a Christian. So even though he's viewed as a Messiah type in the Rastafari faith, his views were very different, and he actually shied away from being seen as a Messiah. I mean, one of the stronger things I think he did for Jamaica politically was to advise the Rastafarian. I mean, there was one Rasta when he came into Jamaica in '66, and he said organize and centralize. And although the idea of organize and centralizing I think was a powerful one, it split Rasta groups into groups. So we had kind of Prince Emmanuel, Bob Ashanti, we had Gad with the 12 tribes, we had the Nyabingi. So what happened actually is that there's a certain amount of division that happened. So I think publicly the idea of organised centralising was a good ideal, but actually how it manifested in practice was that it divided the houses, and I'm not sure if that was a positive outlook. I mean, if you read his speeches, really powerful speeches about empowerment.
He changed the world. We're living right now by a lot of things that Selassie done, and sometimes along the way, you're going to, sacrifice your own people. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but he has changed, even in the laws, even regarding slavery, what he done for us. So, the whole Messiah thing, as in him being seen as Christ-like, prophet-like, I think we all are in our own individualisms. He never actually admitted to it, but if he did, people would have called him crazy, so why would you? I think he said it in the right way, that he had to say it to lay those that need to hear it and understand it, hear it and understand it, or overstand it more to the point. And the religious aspect of it is us having reverence for a higher being. And I just think, again, I'm not, from Ethiopia. I wasn't there during the time, so there's all personal experiences of it. But if you look at the grand scale of things with Selassie, and you actually look at what the British have done, where they've hidden certain things to do with him, or he's actually, I know everyone's seen this picture, the Queen bows to him, 72 nations. There's just a lot of things that are biblically referenced, why people associate him with being the Messiah. There's a lot of things culturally for black people, why we can look to him for certain things like to organise and centralise, exactly what we're talking about right now in terms of leadership. And even though there is a divide among a lot of Rastas in regards to different things, this is why I don't really mix with all you lots, so I do my own thing. I just feel that he is a very positive role model for the world in a lot of different aspects. However you want to take it, across religion, across the way he put his Empress beside him, Empress Menen beside him. She was his his counsellor, very soft, gentle, meek. Us women should look to her for a bit more representation on how we should actually act. So I think, in that sense, Haile Selassie is a great leader.
I think as an ideal, he's a powerful ideal in terms of how to
King
move.
of Kings,
I think politically there was probably issues the way
but then he was fighting against different things that were set up in institutions and stuff like that. You know, again, me being who I am, I can't just go in there and brock down things. You're gonna have to humble yourself. You're gonna have to mix with certain people you don't like to get to a certain. You know, there's
trying to bring together warring tribes at the time that kind of enforcing Amharic on because I mean there's many languages that are spoken in Ethiopia, and he made the national language Amharic, and I think there's powerful ways in terms of having a lingua franca, but I think politically I don't think he's as powerful as he is ideologically. I think ideologically he's a powerful figurehead for.
But do we know that in terms of, as I said, you've got to go down different routes, and as I said, I know a lot of Rastas all over the world, and I get so much knowledge from my Rasta kings. There's not a lot of Rasta women that I learn from. I'm going to be really truthful with that, but I do communicate with Rastas from Jamaica, America, over here, and this is more socially than actually online, more than in face, but I learn so much, and then I get so much knowledge on different things. So I just think there's a lot of things that are made purposefully for us to not know about him, and the negative is more pushed out, and especially coming from our own as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're public, and I wouldn't be publicly critical in a certain way, but I think if you ask Ethiopians of a certain age, it'd be very different to how people from the diaspora will view him. And I think that was just the nuance that I kind of wanted to make clear, that actually people will view him. I mean, the famine. I mean, the people on the continent in Ethiopia view him very differently to how
he was exiled over here, living a great life in Bath.
Yeah, so
what's the difference? What do the people in Ethiopia think, or in
most people of our generation, not probably a bit older than us, don't necessarily feel that he was the powerful figure that he's viewed as.
This is people in the diaspora, or
people in his actual country,
in Ethiopia.
They don't think he was a good leader.
Yeah.
But people in the continent think he was a good leader.
So I say ideologically powerful figurehead, but in terms of kind of the political, some of the decisions he made, and then he left. I mean, the idea that Ethiopia's never been colonized. Powerful.
There you go.
Powerful.
Until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned, until there are no longer first-class and second-class citizens of any nature, until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes, that until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regard to race, that until that day, the dream of lasting peace and world citizenship and the rule of international morality will remain but a fleeting illusion to be pursued but never attained.
But in terms of
especially
the ability for him to impact people on the ground.
But he said organised and centralised, so you can't expect one man to do it all, which is what we're discussing as well.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, as a part of when we do rise to certain positions, like what you were just saying, and even myself, I was just saying, I don't think that you have to be representative of everyone. You might have your core thing that you're dealing with, and that's it. And along the way, you're not going to please everybody, and some people might get hurt, and people might be upset. So again,
it's nuanced. It's nuanced.
Yeah.
It is nuanced. But I think maybe in a similar way that people may view Barack Obama as an ideological win at that point, in terms of a black man rising
I never thought that was
but he's just saying in terms of
an ideal,
and I get what
practically
you're saying.
Maybe you've done very little for people and on a practical level, but ideologically you can educate young people to say, you know what, you can get to any place in certain systems, and that could be a powerful ideal.
Yeah, like, so it's funny because we didn't even bring up Obama, but this is a bloody American, this is a leader, this is a president, and man, I don't think he was anything. Ideologically, I think it's like a misnomer. I think it just looks good, but it doesn't. We're just going to do what we can. Ideologically, it says what you're saying, right? Oh yeah, you can reach, but no, because remember, have you seen that stuff where all American presidents are related?
Yeah, all of them. So
you got that one thing there. He's not just because he did it. No, not any mixed race, not even not any mixed race kid can get up there, and definitely not any black kid. Because you still got to be related. You still got to have this way in.
He didn't do the thing that he should have done, which is what everybody's mad about, which is reparations. No black man would become president of the United States of America and do the very thing that helped America maintain her superiority over the very people that she enslaved. I'm not going to give you the thing that validates the evil that I did to you, put you in a position to do it, and then make myself look bad. It's not happening. I'm not going to give you reparations, and not for damn sure I'm not going to let a black man do it. He would have been assassinated.
Come on, man!
To be very clear, there's a layer as to how this works. 1, he was selected before he was elected. 2, he's in the same seat that Nixon was in, same seat that Reagan was in, same seat that JFK was in. You think the seat changes? No! Just because you put a black face on white supremacy doesn't make it black supremacy. No! The seat doesn't change. This is the modern Rome, the modern Babylon, this is the modern Sodom and Gomorrah. He did not have the power to change this system. When a president is selected, when they go into the White House, there are already a preset number of things and items that are to be done underneath that president's regime. Certain things that they put down that they want to be done under this person. Under Obama, kill Muammar Gaddafi. Under Obama, initiating the gay marriage circumstance. For now, does he need to take responsibility for his part? Abso-freaking-lutely. But he also is up against the very same system that enslaved our people. So I want us to make it very clear. We have to put things in context when we're talking. He was not the Superman who became the black man who's going to do everything for black people. In Congress, 535 members are going to let him do this. All of these racist white people are just going to let him do this. It's not going to happen. Even if he really wanted it to happen, it wasn't going to happen. And this is what I need people to get. He was called for to be assassinated. They put up pictures, photoshopped and edited pictures of Obama as a witch doctor with a bone in his nose, him as a monkey, Michelle as a monkey, his 2 children as a monkey. They called him and her monkeys congresspersons. I'm talking about sitting at the time congresspersons. They were so racist, so wicked. Brother, I'm talking about to this day, white folks right now all over Twitter are saying Michelle Obama is a man. Wait a minute, let me make this very clear. To you black folks who run with that nonsense, the embarrassing side of this is you're allowing white people to utilize your emotions to benefit a white supremacist argument by saying, oh, she's a man, blah, 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 while at the same time not realizing that's exactly what they used to say to your ancestors, to your people all the time. They would attack black women just like they're doing now, but they're doing it by you helping them. I would never side with white people against my people. We want what we need to have that will not come by us going through the system.
Right, and then after that, he did it in a sense of not really doing anything for the people that really believe he represents them.
Who helped put him up.
They helped, but the thing is, more we saying it like he represents, ideologically, he represents a win for us as a group, but he doesn't do nothing for us as a group. So is that really a win? Because it's
it's ideal, not a practical sense.
I know what you're saying, but it's the same logic that we have when sometimes we say like we got entertainers who do very negative music with negative imagery and negative, but they're successful and they're getting money. So so this is an ideal. Look, you can be successful, but if the image of success is somebody who is counter the benefit, do you get what I'm trying to say? This we're promoting this idea of this is what success looks like. So this is what you do to say. Is that what we want to comparison though, still? No, but it's the same logic in that this isn't someone that done anything of benefit for the group. So if you're saying this is ideologically what we're putting up to them as what you can achieve, you're just giving them a version of events that doesn't do anything for the group. Yeah, it's not really. If you're talking about leadership in the way we're discussing here, right, then is that really ideologically a win? Because I would argue, even though the rise of Obama is the reason we have a Trump now and a Farage and a Reform and a Brexit, and we had what's his name, the blonde-haired guy in Boris. All of these guys, the orange guy, the blonde guy, the Farage guy, Reform, the rise of the right, particularly in Europe, particularly in Britain, but and in America, a lot of it is predicated off the fact they're so annoyed with my man,
with Trump being in power.
No, with Obama getting all this, like it's like a backlash,
and he's mixed.
It's like a backlash, right? As much as I'm saying that, he's kind of like an ideal black man in power, because he was mixed. More than but even if you say he's black, but you're right. But even if we say he's black, he's the ideal black man in power because
he's mixed.
All right, let's say he's the ideal mixed man in power because he wasn't doing anything for black people. So if we're going to be so happy about a black man in power that doesn't do nothing for black people, that works towards the benefit of those who don't even like the idea of a black man in power because, all right, we'll give you an ideal, we'll give you a win, but your win is somebody who ain't for you.
At all.
So ideologically,
remember, there's that Obama killed more people under his presidency
in Africa. More Africans started more wars in Africa than any other people.
No, it was Biden. Sorry, it was Biden, not Trump.
Yeah, I don't know about people, but more Africans. He started more wars, more missiles or whatever, right? So he did less. In the amount of the young black kids that were killed over there, like, he never said nothing. He never done nothing about the police. That's a simple win as well for an American president. It's a simple win. He could have just spoke up about it more. He didn't even have to actually pass policy. Just stand on business in your rhetoric a little bit.
As a leader.
A little bit.
We got that part.
A little bit would have won people over. He didn't do none of that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But he stood up for the LGBT, he stood up for the Mexicans, and he stood up for everybody else, but he did. So it's mad. Ideologically, I see it as an L, and practically, it's definitely an L.
You have to have that goal in mind. You can't let nothing stop you. And even when you feel like you can't keep going, you stay consistent and keep going. 1 foot at a time, you're already farther than you ever will go. That's why they say you only need to take 1 step forward. But if you take a step forward every day and stay consistent to it, there's no telling where you'll go. There's no telling what you will accomplish. There's no telling what you will gain. But first you must be dedicated to gaining it, going there, and making it that far. So I'm leaving you with 2.
We are the Battle Trust. We are the front line. We are the warrior class. Free. We are the future warrior. We are the future. Who made that one? The Star made that one.
So those are those many things, many of these leaders we've just spoken about, that they've come through religious and institutional structures. So this is something that seems to be a prerequisite for a good leader to some degree. Their influence was tied to organized movements as well, a lot of them. They're not just personalities. So this is a way to kind of differentiate what a leader is, or at least a good one is, from just some people that with a lot of influence, right? We should separate the leaders from their personal lives. I do think that we need to, but again, it's a case-by-case basis, right? So keeping that in mind, we can look to more modern times, looking at a grassroots level. There's a guy that I like, Ned, New Era Detroit Zeek. He's our
kids, they think that this type of stuff is cool now. Like, that's, I talk a lot about, we got to make this the new cool, because the dumb stuff that's cool, the shooting, the killing, all the craziness that is being pushed on social media, all of those things has been a real hindrance. So for us, we got to say that, nah, man, you don't have to be goofy, to be considered cool. You can be a man of respect. You can be a woman of respect in your community, and do positive things for people, and it can look a certain type of way. You can still be you.
What do we know about New Era Detroit, Freya?
Bad Boy, a Detroit grassroots group leader, like, he's been active for like 10 plus years, and they've been doing all sorts of work in Detroit. I'm gonna post a video so everybody can see that. He's just a G. I say he's the truth. I've been saying that. He's like what Forever Family Respect was trying to do, or does, but just to
on
a very
different scale. It's different.
Consistent, high level, right? It's the same. They do patrols. They do community outreach programs. They protect anything problems people have in the community. Just hit him up. He goes down there, helps out. Whether it's a shooting, someone's nan
I think that's the foundation of what we wanted. But this particular person you're talking about,
he does it perfectly.
He's got it to a T, and it's outreach.
And it's definitely not just him. He's got a whole organisation, a whole community, a whole bunch of men.
Community development is a form of leadership, definitely.
Yeah, like it's fully organized, fully in function. Like I say, they have periodic programs, they do outreaches, and then they just got standby stuff where they just do the paroles, and people can just call up, need help. He does this drive where he pays someone's rent. It's like a raffle, get your
and
rent paid.
And you'll be placing this in as a part of
they can see what he's doing.
So is it how's it funded?
I have no idea, and I do wonder that myself.
Point,
it would be.
I reckon they do community funding, because in America, you know, they have a lot of funding available, and you know, like what we were saying, there's places that particularly push towards these deprived areas or underprivileged areas, and they look for grassroots and they push that money into them as well. So I would say America's quite good at that funding, and I'm a part of a group. They've got so much funding avenues over there. And then in regards to community, obviously, if he's doing it, if he's doing the work, there's going to be people over there that are going to be placing the money in, because they can
You've got a huge black middle class in America.
It's probably got sponsors, that particular people that donate a lot. But I would imagine, my guess, I have no idea.
I think we need to look at that, because I would like to.
I'm going to find out still. My guess is the group, people in the group put in a certain amount.
That would be another way, like what we done back in the day. What was it called? Pardoner.
Yeah, like a partner.
But I think in America, in terms of America, there's a huge black middle class. Disposable income in the way.
So if you supporters, then you got some sort of
millionaire businesses in America that they can help fund some of these organisations.
And they give back.
Doesn't happen over there. Just because we don't have that same depth in wealth.
Sick of them. Sick of the fake ass illusion of care for black people. Sick of that shit. It's a fake ass illusion of care and concern for black people. And y'all eating that fucking pie. 4 occasions a year you see a nigga. Correct me if I'm wrong. We see a nigga when it's time to go back to school. Somebody might come out, give some backpacks, right? 1. We gonna see a nigga when it's time to pass out turkeys, right? We gonna see you turkey leg ass niggas, right? 2. Oh, don't forget about the babies at Christmas time. Don't forget about the babies at Christmas. We gotta get the babies some toys at Christmas. You ain't gave a fuck about a kid all summer. These kids out here dying, popping the pills that you telling them to pop. You fucking head. Talking about popping pills. You a fucking addict, nigga. Cool ass addict. I ain't never seen so many addicts so cool. Damn. These the coolest drug addicts ever. Niggas ain't got shit on the niggas in the 80s. Cool ass addicts. Talk about something I'm sipping, this nigga leaning over to the side mid-conversation. Dope fiends, nigga. When some shit happen at a liquor store, just come pull a gun out on a kid. I don't see you gangsta ass niggas, it's us. You feel me? It's our security. I don't see your security, nigga. I don't see no motherfucking securities out here fucking patrolling and protecting the fucking babies. Everything for a fucking paycheck. You gotta get paid, you bum ass nigga. Shout out to New Era Elite. Where my brothers at? Barking this motherfucker. Ain't always about the money. What about integrity, nigga? What about morals, nigga? What about respect, nigga?
That's true. That is very true. And then you got Faron.
Faron and Respect. So you got Faron, who's created his own organization. He's Knife Amnesty.
He's fantastic.
He's just a G. He's a one-away guy. So he's a guy, like I say, he's not a leader. He's what I was kind of simulating what our Umar was before. He's just a one-away guy. So this is what I'm going to do. How about that? This is.
So guys, we've come to the last day with the weapon surrender, and we're finishing in Edmund. I want to say a big thank you to every single person that's come and handed their weapons in. And I also want to say a big thank you to the team that's come out. Without the team, not much happened. But other than that, I also want to say a big shout out to the Home Office and the local authorities for helping along with the weapon surrender. It's been amazing, it's been successful, and you know what? I can't wait to see some more work.
My guy, you don't look fly with your samurai and his blood dirty. Eyes cry in the neighborhood when the blood spill when they die early. Governance from a government, that's a covenant that you break daily. The parents them don't make decisions, the new parents will be the prisons. More youths get murdered, ICs get herded. And we heard it all before. No flies from the law, no banging any doors. What the fuck we paying tax for? Neighbors see blood on the pavement, mothers can't take it no more. No more blood spills, no more roadman turning roadkill, no more picnic eating blood still.
It really is all about linking up in the communities, and especially making time for the younger people, because if we can set them right from early, thank you sir, appreciate you, then that's the way that we're going to prevent the needless problems going on.
This is what I'm
he
going to
did
do.
take it to a next level when he became more organised and building, and then he started.
Yeah, he's got
other
a place.
people and
He's got a location, an organisation.
But I'm saying from the start of when you were saying that he just came out and he was just a man on the road trying to do better for the community.
I don't even.
And then I've followed him. I've seen him, and then as I said, through the works with Forever Family and also the communities interlinked in, I saw Faron start develop and start looking at building it more as an organisation and put people in place to support the whole thing, because he's one man, he couldn't do it all alone. So I really do respect his growth and his business acumen and organisational and structure. So he, as I said, I think, you know, like what you're saying about Neek, he's got the potential to be Zeek. He's got the potential to really make that go further, because it is a thing that is politically in that as well over here, isn't it? In the arena of knife crime. Yeah. So he's amazing.
He's just trying to do his bit. He just figured out a thing and he's trying to do his bit. And if it turns into an organisation where he's got a whole bunch of people under him, then now he's a leader of that organisation. What I mean by he's not a leader in this context is he's not trying to be a leader. He's just trying to do something. This is what I think. This is what I figured out I can do. You know, I can do this, so I'm gonna do it, and that's that. Like, help me if you can. If you don't want to help me, I'm gonna do it anyway. And that's basically what it comes down to with a man like him. Respect, I would argue, is kind of similar, but Forever Family kind of formed around him. He didn't really want to be a leader. I don't think he ever did. He said that himself. But
I've got an interview coming out with him soon, eventually on my podcast, where he explains it all. He explains it from step to step about his progress through having to become that leader. Yeah, I think that they're all different.
On every patrol, there's going to be some form of conflict. The level of conflict may differ, so it might be two drunk guys having a fight, or it might be a youth that's got a problem with another youth.
Give me some solutions! Education, guidance, opportunity.
Do you think the standard person walking down Brixton would be intimidated?
If it's in Brixton, no, because this is their community. So this is something that the community is used to. Because when we was walking, people were like, yes, look at my sons. And do you understand? They were shouting out, they were cheering to see them.
And I think the argument for me would be I would argue that all of the best leaders will have a specific specialism, think that they want to do, that they think is going to make a difference, and I think the people will then say, you know what,
I'm going to support
that
you.
qualifies
I'll follow you to
right.
do that thing.
That's
how it kind of should be in a way as well. I agree with that, right? So. So basically those are like the grassroots level, and you know that ain't it. You know, there are people that are doing up things. I'll shout out the bro too, Bada. Bad boy, you know what I mean? School. You got Brixton Soup Kitchen's been there long standing. I'll even shout out the Brixton Street Gym, the bro Fred, Ben.
You got Mentivity.
He's been doing great. And then you've got who's the other gentleman?
100 Black Men of
100 Black Boys.
100 Black Boys. They've been doing that for a while. The Street Fathers, they're out there trying to step out there and do their thing. You know, and Forever Family is actually spread to a Birmingham branch as well. Just shout that out. They're trying to move out there. So there's a bagger man out here, and like all these names you mentioned, again, I don't see them as leaders, even though they are working within this kind of for my people remit. They're just people deciding to do things, and this is something no one should be fearful of doing. And I like this energy more than trying to be a leader. And like you say, if it becomes big, all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of people that are trying to help you do this thing that you've already started doing, and then you become a leader by default.
Who's the king that's got the young son that he pushes out there that does the school roadblocks? I can't remember his name. I've spoken to him a few times. He came down to the Brixton Street gym, and he's got a black organisation, Grassroot, as well. Very, very good. He used to bring the children to Gambia. He done a lot. I can't remember. But we'll have to place his name.
Shaka Bars.
No, not Shaka. I know Shaka. He done other things. He was more about the fitness and the wealth and the health and stuff. But this gentleman, he goes to Gambia. He was doing the school up in North London. And then I can't remember. He's got a young boy who I really love and respect, Malachi, I think his name is, and he does the street block dance. It's in Brixton anyway, and we'll place that in as well, because I do want to mention him. I think he does really good work.
I think it comes back to kind of, you wouldn't call them leaders, and I would argue that, again, I think away from kind of the generic term that we've kind of the generic way we've spoken about leadership, I do think that leadership, in terms of the skill sets that is required to be effective, has to start with a specialism. It has to. So I don't know where Zeek from New Era Detroit specialism started, but I'm gonna assume there was a specific type of grassroots community development that he was interested in, and it just became bigger as he became more popular. And I would class these people as leaders. I think he just
wanted to clean up his hood because it was high crime, and he's like, where are the man, like, let's try to sort this out. They're shooting up the road, youths are getting killed out here, let's not have it, like, we're men at this end. He's a big man, innit? It was like, bro,
so it could have started with kind of anti-gang.
Definitely started with anti-violence, like, let's clean up our
de-escalation
and just trap presence. Let's be out there, make people see that we're here, so they don't think they can just do what they like. This is our community.
So I think these are aspects of leadership that I think the only reason why we talk about kind of the powerful or notable leaders of the past that come from a very different social economic landscape in terms of kind of their ability to kind of have a broad scope on kind of how they move the people. I think now in modern times, I think what leadership looks like is it coming from specialisms. It comes from a specific interest that you have as an individual, for specific passion. You make I guess small changes as it grows, then you begin to network and broaden out. And I think that's how I define what modern leadership looks like, or modern black leadership looks like.
I agree to a degree.
Check out the Ndinkra Symbols Connect the Dots Drawing Book series. We have 4 books in the series, all with 33 Ndinkra symbols turned into Connect the Dots puzzles. You have the name of the symbol, the phonetic spelling of the symbol, the meaning of the symbol, and the proverb attached to the symbol, because they usually have one. You can catch them all on Amazon. Enjoy, fun for the kids. Bravery Boot Camp is a program we've created for 8 kids, secondary school kids preferably. And basically we teach strength and conditioning, we teach boxing, fundamentals, meditation, which includes breath work and mindfulness, and nutrition. We just teach them some things that we had to learn in later life, and it would have been nice if someone had told us a bit earlier. Now, it's a community funded program, raise money to run this and pay for this. We give them a whole bunch of kit. They all get some gloves, they all get wraps, they all get a medicine ball, exercise mat, skipping rope, and they all get a resistance band. They even get some more stuff from sponsors that have supported this boot. And it's all done in Brixton Street Gym, the original sponsor. If anybody's interested, please get in contact, pypbootcamp@gmail.com, if you want to try and get involved in the next one, because we're going to keep running this, try and keep it a consistent program.
So internationally, we got a whole big thing going on right now, man.
Like, we're gonna even get into the women. They put us right.
No, we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna have to talk for a little bit now, because we're gonna talk about Ibrahim Traore, right? And the whole what's going on in Sahel region. So he's the president. I think he's the president, right? Yeah, of Burkina Faso, right, of the Sahel region, and there's a confederation, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. That's like 3 nations in the Sahel.
This is 37-year-old Ibrahim Traore. He is the second youngest head of state in the world right now, and what his supporters say he represents is simple: African independence. You see, Burkina Faso is a former French colony, and since he became leader of the country in 2022, he has accused France of neocolonialism, which in other words is when a country is still trying to control the other, but now just through more hush means. So when he seized power, he started to make drastic changes. They've now joined forces with Mali and Niger to form the alliance of Sahel states, basically saying we've got each other's backs and we're done with all influence from the West. Ivory Coast and Senegal are now also pushing to remove foreign military bases, and a former Nigerian senator described Traore's actions as the spirit of a continent yearning to be free, dignified, and prosperous. And that is exactly why we're seeing it slowly transition from one country in Africa to Africa as a whole.
That have come together, and basically
and Mali,
Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, right? So they've got this confederation, and their stated goal is to pool resources to build energy, communications, and infrastructure, establish a common market, implement a monetary union under proposed currency, allow free movement of persons, enable industrialization, and invest in agriculture, mines, and energy sector, with the end goal of federalizing into a single sovereign state. So these men are on some stuff.
Yeah, so I was going to mention Ali Lamin, Zain, and Salifo Modafi, so Niger and Mali respectively. So I kind of mention the names as well,
I got their names there, bro. They're there, bro. The Confederation is against neocolonialism, and I want to do a whole episode about neocolonialism and Pan-Africanism to really break down what those terms mean. But this is what Africa needs in terms of leadership. We need this kind of strength and understanding that we need to actually look within. It's not really about trading outside, because we don't actually need outside, and just cutting off all these old deals that don't do nothing for us.
So that's what Selassie said: organise and strategise.
Yeah. So it's important what they're doing. It's revolutionary as hell, and it cannot be understated what they're doing.
True.
And they've demonstrated their ideology with downgrading the status of French language, renaming the colonial streets, and anti-French and anti-ECOWAS, which is like the economy, the bank, the involvement of French currency and French money systems in their nations. They're just gonna, which is a big deal. France is taking a big hit right now. They got all sorts of issues because
how much money did they get out of us before? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and they would have always been like this if they weren't abusing like just uranium alone. So yeah, the three you just mentioned, Assimi Goche, that's from Mali, Abidora Hameni Tiani, that's Niger, and Ibrahim Traore, Burkina Faso. These 3 guys are on some stuff, but we're going to focus on Ibrahim Traore. He's only been in power since 2022, so it's like 3 years. Yeah. He's a Pan-Africanist, anti-Western, anti-imperialist, and he was a captain before. He was a military ruler, so there was a coup. He took power, and he's one of the youngest leaders in the world. He's only 37 years old, right? Since he's come into power, there's been 16 assassination attempts on his life. At least. I'm not sure, but that's crazy, right? But nothing to not be expected. It shows the power, but it should show the world of what Africa has always dealt with. As soon as there's a progressive leader, their life is a threat. So why would you be a progressive leader? So when everyone talks about corruption in Africa, we have to remember their man's life is at threat. They know they're in power, but they are only allowed to be in power because if they try and do something positive that isn't really going to help the West, they're gone. They're out of here, and everybody knows that, and their mate, everyone knows that. So
a friend that's funded by a Western power to get to kill them.
Yes, and everybody knows. So that's why you got so much corruption, because it benefits everybody else.
Westerners, through communication, they managed to rewrite history. And with African history as well, they schemed everything to spread lies. And as a result, some young Africans don't even know the history of Africa, what Africa has accomplished. Some don't even know that our grandparents fought, were put on the front lines as cannon fodder. And when they returned, they were killed like animals. Do people know that when France tested its first atomic bomb, it was black soldiers they placed nearby within the blast radius to see what would happen? Let's bring out the archives. Everything they've used against Africa has been documented. So all of this needs to be communicated so that young Africans understand, because there are still many who are asleep and continue to speak on behalf of the imperialists. They say what they're told to say, maybe because they're given something in return, I don't know. But Africans need to understand their history and wake up. So that's our fight as well.
In your opinion, what is the role of the media in this struggle? Independent media.
From our countries, you mean? The media should contribute a lot to our ideas, but as you can see, even among our own media, there are some that are imperialist media. They only react when European media say something, then they repeat, move it and amplify it. There are plenty of media outlets in our countries that even fight against regimes like ours. They also spend their time repeating the same nonsense that Western media spread. But it's shameful. If Africans behave like that, it's truly shameful. I imagine they must be ashamed to look at themselves in the mirror at night. If you're paid to spread lies about black people, that's very serious. So we are raising awareness in Burkina Faso. If you look right now, many media outlets are supporting the movement, helping to raise awareness among young people through debates and so on. So that's really what we want for the media.
Do you think our media can also play its part in this struggle?
Of course, very much so. You have to play a very important role because, I said it in 2023, in St. Petersburg, and I'll say it again today, Russia helped save the world. Africa helped save the world. That needs to be said. Young people need to understand that all those stories told in Hollywood movies and so on, they're false. It's nothing but lies. It's the same thing. The Vietnam War. Today, you see, history is distorted, but we need to communicate. You see, they don't like it when I speak. They think I talk too much and all that. They want me to keep quiet so that they can speak and their version gets through. No. My biggest regret is having spent a good part of my youth listening to radio stations like RFI and France 24. I've been in countries where these radio stations were shut down, but we would use apps, record their news broadcasts just to listen to them. But at a certain point, something clicked, and I started to realize that they were conditioning our minds to accept what they wanted. It's their narrative they want us to learn. And since then, I've started to see things for what they are, and I understood that what they're doing is very dangerous. And today, more than ever, I realize that they have conditioned the minds, especially of Africans. So you can do a lot to awaken the consciousness of young people, so that people understand how the world works and don't let themselves be led astray by those.
So he is all right. So I'm going to list I'm going to list as many of the things that he's done since he's come into power for the last week. He's building the largest hospital in West Africa, which is currently under construction and is expected to be open in late 2025. A new airport is under construction, set to be completed by the end of 2025. He reduced the salaries of ministers and parliamentarians by 30%, while increasing the salaries of civil servants by 50%. Right. So basically, he's getting rid of bureaucracy. And I remember as well, he's only taking the payment of a captain. He never upped his own pay.
Yeah, I heard that.
He kept that there. Bad boy. Yeah. He paid off all Burkina Faso's local debts. He established the country's first ever tomato processing plant. He inaugurated a state-of-the-art gold mine to enhance local processing capabilities. Yeah. He banned the export of unrefined gold from Burkina Faso. Bad boy, to Europe. So you're not getting our gold no more. He built the country a second.
He probably priced it as well.
Yeah, great. How does this organized and centralized? You hear?
It is, bro. He's a G. He built the country's second cotton processing plant, previously having only one. He opened the first ever national support center of artisanal cotton. I don't know if it's a certain kind of cotton processing to assist local cotton farmers. He banned British-styled legal wigs, so they got their own style now in the courts, and gowns in local courts, and introduced traditional Burkina
put some attire. Of these in. I want to see some of these images. I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, bro, they got their own. I've seen a picture of the Ghana. I think the Ghana guys followed them. He did it. I see the Ghana.
Actually, I did see that. Yes,
the Ghana guys got their own thing now, but he did it first, right?
Yep.
He prioritized agriculture by distributing over 400 tractors, 239 tillers, 710 motor pumps, and 740 motorbikes to boost production and support rural skateboarders.
Yeah, this was recently, I see that one.
He provided access to improved seeds and other farm inputs to maximize agricultural output. Tomato production increased by 315,000 metric tons in 2022 to 360, so he added an extra 55 metric tons or 45 metric tons. Millet production rose by about 200,000 metric tons. Rice production increased by about 46,000 metric tons. He spelled French military operation for Burkina Faso.
He's done that first. That's one of the first things.
He's on job, bruv. 3 years, 3 years. He banned French, American, and British media outlets from operating in his country. Yeah, by new man, he initiated major infrastructure projects, including constructing new roads, widening existing ones, and upgrading gravel pits to pave the surfaces.
It's done by people from the country.
Yeah, the man them are doing it. The man them, and then some man are just joining in for free. They don't want to get paid. They just want to do it. You know what I mean? Because they're like, yo, he's fixing this. I want to get involved. You know what I mean? He introduced prison reforms, allowing inmates to work on agricultural farms in exchange for reduced sentences. Smart. He removed French and Burkina Faso's sole official language. No more French. He withdrew Burkina Faso from International Organization of Francophone and French-speaking equivalents. Same type thing. He repaid 75% of the country's local debts. He repaid the local debts. Everyone got money. Everyone's eating.
Yeah.
Burkina Faso's GDP grew from approximately 18.8 billion to 22.1 billion, which
I think that's underestimated. I think it's probably larger than that.
Underestimated.
But he up in 3 years. 3 years, 4 billion. What do you mean? Do you know what I mean? He inaugurated the streets of stars in the capital, honoring Africans who contributed to the continent's progress. He withdrew Burkina Faso from ECOWAS and helped establish the Alliance of Sahel States. Obviously, we mentioned that. He inaugurated the country's first electric car brand and assembly plant. I got a video on that one. I did see that, so I'll throw that in there. He opened Burkina Faso's first dairy factory, producing a range of dairy products. He launched the Signo Bakino cement factory, one of the country's largest, an annual production of capacity of 750,000 tons. He provided farmers with 400 tractors, 239 motorbikes, and 710 pumps to boost agricultural production. He supplied farm agents with 714 motorcycles. He supported farmers with 10,000 tons of fish feed, 68,964 tons of fertilizer, 10,000 liters of phytosanitary products, 18,000 tons of vegetable seed, 2,300 tons of feed seeds, and 10,000 tons of concentrated animal feed. He increased local resources mobilizations to strengthen the economy. His government successfully reclaimed 75% of Burkina's territory from jihadists and terrorist groups. Meanwhile, at war, he's warring. He's doing all this in a war. Bad boy. This is just one guy. Just one guy in 3 years.
You can take him as a leader. And
one guy in 3 years.
His things.
And you could have a similar list for the rest of the two leaders as well.
Bro, you see, as much as it's so proud, I'm so proud of him. Yeah,
like, I was just thinking.
It annoys me how did the whole of Africa, none of you can't do nothing. Uganda's roads been popped down. They've been the same for 50 years until China man have given them an extortionate deal to build up some roads. Extortionate deal.
Amazing. I went to Thailand. Brilliant. I was thinking, why are we not? Like,
why? Because we need more Ibrahim Traore's.
Let's move it on.
It is just such an amazing thing that's going on over there. It is a true revolution in the realest of sense. It's a change of things, and I feel for his life. But I just hope we don't idolize individuals in the sense that we idolize him, but we recognize that if he goes, someone else has got to do that.
Yeah, and I think within the way that he set that up, I think that's what would be, though, wouldn't it? Like,
it's easy to say that. I think that's what happened at Malcolm and Martin's time. Everyone just assumed that someone else would just take up the mantle.
No,
Kwame Nkrumah tried some of this stuff.
He's doing it.
Killed. I mean, it'd be
interesting to know, but I think the way that he's doing it and the things that he's doing, it
really does take an individual or a group of individuals to really strongly hold a position. This is why leaders are necessary, because without that, people might want it to happen, but if nobody does it, it doesn't happen.
And that's why we were saying the top person
at huge personal risk.
Yes, they have to be because
when you're in a position to take that type of, because he's taking huge personal risk.
Yeah, because when people have all that power and wealth, they don't necessarily want to risk it. So it's more than a personal risk. You've already won, but you're throwing it all away for the sake of something.
They always take examples. They will tell us, Thomas Sankara tried to do it like this, but where is he? He is dead. The Haitian president, he tried to do it like this, Where is he? He is dead. Gaddafi tried like this. Where is he? He is dead. These are the veiled statements made to us to instill fear. If we remain in this posture of fear, we will be cowards, and history will judge us. Our children will ask questions. Our grandchildren will ask questions. We are writing history. There is no room for cowardice.
So, one question that we want to ask about the women is, why don't we see more women called leaders today? Like, you know, and particularly our culture, you know, misogynism and all this is a word thrown around a lot, and we've spoken on this before. But for black people, we've never been anti-women.
No.
Our cultures have never been anti. We've had women leaders during wars, during peace. We never had an issue with that. That never made sense to our logic. Never, not once in our history can you. Until after we was conquered and took on the traits of other people, we didn't have that rhetoric. It didn't really exist. So innately, you know, why? So why do we have all these men kind of positioning themselves as leaders in some sort of way, whether thought leaders, cultural leaders, influencers, but we don't have that with women?
No, I think same thing I said earlier. I'd argue that the generic way that leadership is perceived by the masses is a certain thing, and I think what we do have is a lot of women in leadership positions in specialist fields. So there are. I don't think there's a lack of female leadership. I think there's probably a lack of visibility because there's certain specialisms.
So they're there.
I really don't think there's a lack. I mean, you look at kind of locally, I'd say there's more female leaders in my local area than there are male leaders that have been active for decades. Like in my parents' generation, they've been more consistent.
I believe.
So there may well be a maternal instinct to first provide for home, then provide for community. It's not every woman's gift to want to provide outside of their specific home, but I think when they do adopt those types of ideologies, they are powerful leaders, and I just don't think probably don't get celebrated as much as they should. But I think ultimately the ego of us in men will push ourselves out there in a certain kind of way that maybe women don't do in the same way.
I don't know, man, because I do feel like, particularly in this online space where we got all of these characters, like women have the power online, and they can really make a person go clear or not go clear, or hold the position they're trying to hold or not hold the position. Don't get me wrong, you got the Andrew Tate's very misogynistic and, for lack of a better term, appealing to the men, and he gets success just from getting a lot of support from young men and whatnot, right? But generally speaking, like, you need the support of women online for your thing to go.
Yeah, for your thing
to go. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Dr. Umar's the key, a good example of that.
But there's many, right? So I say they have a lot of power and influence. So I'm saying they could use that to put, if there was a woman that wanted that. You're right. So you're saying they don't want the role. Is it?
I'm saying that the idea that we have of leaders who lead in a broad spectrum. So take Zeek for example. There's a broad spectrum. I think the same type of woman would be doing community development in one specialized field and be great at doing that.
And just keep it at that.
And keep doing that. I don't think we celebrate that as much. I don't think the feminine ego manifests itself in the same way it does for us as men. I don't think that there are less female leaders. I mean, I've mentioned we've got Mama G in America, in Jamaica as a Maroon, Marsha Douglas that passed last year. There's always been strong female Maroon leaders in the community. But I think the way that they maybe advertise themselves doesn't necessarily. And I don't even have to say this. Do you think women are more critical of other women than we are as men? This is kind of maybe a more
funny one. It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both, in my opinion. Because on the one side, they do give them support pretty much.
I would say girls support girls, women support women, like, you know, because we've got the common things. That's a good point. I'd maybe need to think of it. I feel like from what my exposure is to it, I've got people and women around me that would support. And then, I think we got that nurturing, that whole community thing going, as you said, in smaller pockets. I think the pushing us out on a bigger scale, I think it's because it's a man's world. I think it's all ego driven, and I think men think that they're better leaders. And I think that beside that, even if you are a great leader, you've normally got a couple of women behind your back pushing you and supporting
admin,
you, and doing everything, admin, nurturing, whatever it is. I just think we tend to do it from as you said, more of a nurturing standpoint, community, and men maybe take on things that are more
even when you look
wider.
at the prevalence of Sasha Johnson when she was powerful, you could argue that she embodied some masculine traits in terms of how she presented. So some of the viral moments that she had were arguing the guy she had that argument with online.
I agree. That's
the last time like a young female for me that in my memory was publicly out there being a leader in the typical sense that we see some of the men doing. And I just think that same energy for most women is directed in certain specialism as opposed to kind of the broad way that we define leadership. I in terms of do we need leaders? Yes, but I think I've always argued about it needs to come from a specialism first. And I think we are as men are very quick at kind of broadening what we're leading.
Do you think there's a need for women leadership?
I do. Yeah, I do.
So this is what I'm
you know
getting
what it is
at.
as well. I think as well, as I said, it's a man's world. I think men put themselves out there, like you said, with the ego.
I hear that, yeah.
Women, we do it on a more softer, more nurturing thing, and it's not received the same publicly or community-wise. If you had if I had a black man beside me who was like, yes, this is my woman, and she's you're going to see how everyone's going to start doting on her. I just think it's a man's world.
I hear it, yeah, but like, if we think that we have got more power,
we've got more power money-wise, everything, because we're the community, the family. But
so
again,
if we think that there should be more women leaders, then women but you don't need them. This is what I'm getting at. Women could position women to be in leadership positions. No, but this is what I'm getting at. Say if I was trying to be like for the women to do this leadership thing, I would say you don't need the men. You just need to pick who represents the true ideals that you guys want to represent amongst women, that you want to push forward and push her to the helm and push her to the top.
Where are they? Because
this is what I'm
talking about through the passage of history. I'm not talking about now commonly. I'm just saying
they're all over the place. I mean, I remember growing up.
Look, we've just gone through on this list. We've just spoken about all these different black men.
No. Listen, there are bare African women leaders.
Again, they're not known. They haven't been pushed in the man's world like the Dr. Polites, whoever it is.
I'm not gonna lie,
we haven't.
I'm not gonna lie. I was supposed to actually get a list of them to talk to about this in this subject.
We'll have to do the next part.
I just did it. But I'm gonna throw a video in just naming a whole bunch of historic ones.
African queens in history you need to know. Amina, the Queen of Zaria, Nigeria. Amina Mohamud was a Hausa warrior queen of the city-state Zazzau, presently in the northwest region of Nigeria. Her leadership skills were discovered early by her grandfather, who allowed her to attend state meetings. Historians described her as one of the real rulers born in the mid-16th century. Kandake, the Empress of Ethiopia. Kandake, or Candace, was regarded as one of the most dreaded war generals of her time. Historians say she was known to be a fierce, tactical, and uniting military leader. Makeda, the Queen of Sheba, Ethiopia. Makeda was known to be a queen of incredible strength after surviving a battle with the Serpent King, Aure. Nefertiti, Queen of the ancient Kemet, Egypt. Nefertiti was an Egyptian queen and the great royal wife, chief consort of Akhenaten, an Egyptian pharaoh. With her husband, she reigned during what was arguably the wealthiest period of ancient Egyptian history. Ya Asantewa, Ashanti Kingdom, Ghana. Asantewa was the queen mother of Ajisu and the Ashanti Empire, now part of modern-day Ghana. In 1900, she led the Ashanti War, known as the War of the Golden Stool, also known as Ya Asantewa War, against British colonials. Queen Nandi, Zulu Kingdom, South Africa. Queen Nandi was resilient as a mother and the hope against social pressures. She was the mother of Shaka Zulu, one of the Zulu Kingdom's greatest kings. According to historians, during the reign of her son, she had significant influence over the affairs of the kingdom. Queen Moremi, Ife Kingdom, Nigeria. Queen Moremi was a courageous queen who is fabled to have contributed to the deliverance of the Yoruba tribe from oppression.
Okay,
Me as a kid,
but
growing
again,
up,
I'm not
I
involved
like
with that.
Sister Passion. Not Sister Passion. Remember Sister Soldier?
That's me.
Remember Sister Soldier?
Yeah.
I remember what's
I
the
don't
Queen
remember Sister Soldier.
Latifah.
Oh yes, I know. Yeah, all right. So you're talking
Sister
about music.
Soldier was like she
Yeah,
was
but
shorter than Queen Latifah.
Yeah, but what-
No, she was a rapper. I know, but
but that's
Sister
what I'm saying.
Soldier, she gave that.
Angela Davis, Asada Shakur, like there's
Yes.
been loads.
Okay,
There's
Angela.
been
Yeah,
loads.
but again, Angela Davis and they
Ashra
were
Shakur, RIP.
associated with like what
recently.
you said back in the you know
that period.
Yeah, and again. I'm going to say it again. How was she seen and viewed and respected and put out there?
We spoke about what's her name, Winnie Mandela.
He's calling a few. Yeah, but again,
all I'm getting at
again, Mandela got the most. It's a man's world.
But it doesn't matter by getting the most because again, what I'm saying is that we as a people, we have always had that. When we're on job, the women them step up still, and I'm not saying that men need that to happen. I'm just saying there's no reason for the women to think that they shouldn't, because the only thing I do see women comfortably, and I don't want to be divisive. I don't want to be divisive. The only thing I see,
I'm being divisive. We are the leaders. We nurture. We
are the leaders. No,
well, we are. We need to take the position a bit more. I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
With you. I'm agreeing
So
with
because
you.
one thing I see they're very confidently taking their position on is this whole man v women dynamic. This one, then we're on. Yeah, I want to be strong on that.
Yeah,
but
that's a toxic space.
It's a very toxic way to use that energy. That the feminine in our culture particularly has always used that energy externally, and really it's just like that's stopped happening is all I'm saying. And I'm not saying there's always going to be more, because of the ego, there's always going to be more men doing it than the women, but the women did never not do it.
There
in
are
our
way
culture.
more black women in the conscious community space providing goods and services for the people.
But then we also need our men to support us with it as well. Women can support women, and you can see why. As
I think the ones he's talking about are getting supported. They're getting supported.
Yeah, but I'm saying to be like, obviously these ones in particular, but like to be pushed out there as well. I think it's equal. When I said women are leaderships, we're leaders in different way, and men are leaders in different way, and we need to work together to be able to do it. But we need our men to push us out there as well.
Please.
Well, that was interesting. That was quite a lot. That was actually quite a lot. I think we've got a lot of reflection to do on what true leadership qualities look like. I don't know. I don't ever think that we're gonna get one true, because everyone's going to come with their own thing. So it's like, I would say at the moment, to push forward the kings that are out there showing you the way by their actions, by their morals, by the changes that are being made, being accountable. There are a lot of good things on a tick list that we can now know through these discussions to have more discernment about, more awareness about, and to look at before we start giving people leadership qualities and titles. I think we still need to continue the one on women. That's what I really want a bit more, even for myself, to have that knowledge. I think we can push that more as well. But as a whole, I think if you guys could actually get involved in the comments, especially women, if you've got more, please give me some names so I can go and do some research. And we look forward to continuing the next one.